nation's jobless picture is looking brighter. The Labor Department reported that unemployment dropped to 4.3% in July, a 16-year low. If you're wondering where the new jobs are coming from, look no further than your local dining establishment.
Jobs in the restaurant industry are now growing faster than healthcare, manufacturing, or construction. The trend is the topic of a current article in The Atlantic, and we're joined by its author, senior editor Derek Thompson. Derek, good morning.
Good morning.
This is really interesting because you point out that it's happening all over the country. In cities like Cleveland, even you say, in New Orleans, a third of the job growth in recent years has come from restaurants.
That's right. Yeah, I think this might be one of the most underrated stories in the economy right now. You think, what are the sectors that have grown the U.S. economy in the last few years? We were a manufacturing economy, and then we became retail, then healthcare. But now restaurants are growing faster than all of those. In fact, in 3 years, at current rates, there will be more employees in restaurants than in manufacturing, in factories. So that's why I say in the piece, restaurants are the new factories.
Is it as simple as we all have to eat?
It is. We certainly all have to eat. There's two things. First, we all have to eat, but we have a choice. We can eat at home, or we can eat out of home.
Right. And
in the 1950s, 25% of our food budget went to restaurants. Today, it's 50%. So the share has doubled. That's a huge story. The second thing, though, is you look at factories. They've changed a lot in the last 50 years. You look at retail. The way we shop has changed a lot in the last 50 years. How much has restaurants changed? Almost not at all. It's still extremely labor intensive. Going to the restaurant in 2017 is basically the same as going in 1947. You still need just as many people in order to service that diner, that person eating the hamburger. And as a result, more labor intensive industries have more labor.
Right. Jobs are jobs. They're good. But these jobs don't actually pay as much, do they?
No, they pay about half of the national average, and that's a problem. You don't want to have a high-wage sector like manufacturing essentially be replaced by a low-wage sector, which is restaurants. But it's true, jobs are jobs, and a lot of the jobs that are restaurant jobs tend to be the kind of work that people move through. They start working at restaurants, they start working at fast food or being a hostess or a host, and then they move into their white-collar professional job later in their career.
Was there a specific point, because we've seen this growth over the past few years, but was there a specific point where we saw it really start to take off?
Yeah, it's definitely taken off in the last 30 years. Just 30 years ago, there were 3 times as many manufacturing jobs than restaurant jobs. 3 times. And they're about to meet in 2 years. Now, that's partially the decline in manufacturing jobs, but it's also because you've just seen this enormous run-up in restaurant employment as people have been more likely to eat out rather than busier. Busier, right. Yeah. You can have delivery as well.
Despite this trend, Derek, we've seen like 150 Applebee's and IHOP stores are going to be closing. So what does that tell us then? Yeah,
so the same way that you have a hollowing out in the middle of American incomes, you also have a hollowing out in the middle of American restaurants. You have a lot of growth at the bottom at fast food. You have a lot of growth at the top, say really nice fine dining Hawaiian, Vietnamese, like interesting new places in New York and Austin and Nashville. But the middle, family casual, your Applebee's, your IHOPs, they've really struggled recently as the middle has moved to either end. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing.
Sustainable?
Relatively sustainable. We still have to eat, as you pointed out at the beginning of the segment. We still have to eat, but at the same time, it's possible that some of these fast food places are going to experiment with the same kind of automation that has hurt employment in manufacturing.
Yeah. We have to eat, but we don't want to cook. That's
Thank you for saying it.
Derek Thompson, thanks.